Hello students, standard 6th physics. As you already know, all the chapters finished and we are doing the revision. Chapter number 11's revision is going on. Light, reflections and shadows. Now in previous session we learned about the luminous objects, non-luminous objects, and we learned the different type of objects like transparent, translucent and opaque on the basis of the passing the light through it. Then now we also learn about the shadow, that how the shadow is formed. We know that when light is traveling, so if in its path any opaque objects come in the way, then behind that object some part will be dark, because from those part the light cannot travel. Opaque substances does not allow the light to pass through them, and therefore the part from which light does not travel, that part looks dark. So if you put a screen, or if you are in front of wall, then on the wall or sometimes on the land also we can see the shadow of the object. Now also we saw that the shadow can give us the idea of the shape of the object, but sometimes it not. It depends from which side the light is falling on it and where is the shadow falling. We saw that to create a shadow, three main things are required. First is the source of light. Second thing is opaque object. And third thing is the screen. What are sources of light? I put a question here also. What do you mean by sources of light? State its type, giving examples. Source of light means those objects who emit their own light. Similar like luminous object. So the sources of light means those objects who emit their own light are known as sources of light. There are two types: natural sources of light and artificial sources of light. Natural source of light are the sun, stars, and if you remember that worm that we see during the rainy season, that are the fireflies. That are the natural sources of light. And the other are the artificials. Artificial sources of light are a bulb, a tube light, candle, etc. So those are the artificial sources of light. And we saw that shadow is of black color. Doesn't matter which color the object is, the shadow of the object is always black. You can do the activity on your own in a dark room. In dark room it will be better. What you have to do is that in the middle of your room, put a table, and on the table or on the one side of the room, you put a table and light a candle. And you can stand between the candle and the wall. And with the help of your hands, as you see that in the figure also, on the page number 109, like this. With the hand, by folding them, you can create the shadow on the wall. Some people have very nice art of this. They can create different shadows which are resembled to some animals or the birds or any other living creatures. And it is so beautiful that you cannot even imagine that it is not the real animal or the birds. It looks like it is the shadow of the real animal or the bird. They can make the camel or any butterfly or fish or a donkey, etc. So that you can also play in your house in the dark room like this. Now we are going to learn about the pinhole camera. So pinhole camera is a device which can get you image, and that image is always upside down. So now, how do we make a pinhole camera? Here is the question also. Describe the method to construct a pinhole camera. So now, to make pinhole camera, we need 2 boxes of cardboard such that one can slide into another with no gap. Means one is little smaller than the bigger one, so that it can easily slide without keeping any gap. You can make your own cardboard boxes also. Now cut open one side of the larger box. Cut open one side of both of the box, actually larger and smaller, and on the opposite face of the larger box make a small hole in the middle. So you have cut the one side to make it open, and on the larger box, the opposite side, in the middle side, you have to make a small hole in the middle. Then in the smaller box, cut out from the middle a square with side of about 5 or 6 centimeter. So on larger box you make a hole, and on the smaller box, on the same side of that, you have to make a small rectangular hole that is about 5 to 6 centimeter cut out. Cover these open square with a tracing paper. That is, the translucent paper for the drawing is coming. So that cutout you have to cover with that the tracing paper. Then slide the smaller box inside the larger one with the hole, and such a way that the side with the tracing paper is inside, and thus your pinhole camera is ready. You can see how to make. Here it's shown here. We have to make the boxes open. In one of them make the hole. In the other one you make the square, open square here like this, and then you have to slide one on the, but this that square one you have to cover with the translucent paper, that is called tracing paper. Now you have to hold that pinhole camera and look through the open face of the smaller box, that you keep that open, which is covered with that then you will see. You should use a piece of black cloth to cover your head and the pinhole camera. So you have to cover them so that not much light are coming, otherwise you won't be able to see it properly. And try to look at some distant objects, like if there is a building or there is a tree in front of you very far. Then make sure that the objects you wish to look at through your pinhole camera are in bright sunshine, means the light should be coming from it, means it must be having the sunlight and they must be shining, so that they can give that light back and we can see that. So now move the smaller box forward or backward, because in the beginning you won't be able to see the image properly. So to see the image properly, the smaller box that you slided in, just move little forward or backward, such that you can get a particular nice image of that object. And look that the image will be upside down, because it gives the real image. So now you can see the sun also. Let us now image the sun with our pinhole camera. So for that, what, we don't have to look at it, but you hold it in front of the sun, and then if you look there, you will be able to see the small image of the sun also. So look at these pinhole images of the sun when eclipse is visible from your location. So from this pinhole camera, we can see the eclipse, especially the solar eclipse takes place. You can watch that eclipse through this, because you cannot see directly. It can be harmful for your eyes. So you can use this pinhole camera to see that eclipse from your house. And then you can notice how the sun gradually becoming darker and the eclipse will be visible for you. And as I told you, never ever look at the sun directly, otherwise it can damage your eyes, that retina, and you can be blind also. So now there are some natural pinhole cameras also. What are these natural pinhole cameras? If you are passing through a very dense forest, which is full of all long, high, tall trees, then generally the sunlight is not visible directly. But sometimes at some places there is a small gap between the leaves, and through that small holes between the leaves, the sunlight is passing through it, and then that hole is working like a pinhole camera. Then on the land you will see the small rounded dots there, lighted. Actually that are the images of the sun. So these gaps between the leaves in the forest, it acts like a pinhole camera, and from that you will see the small dots that are the images of the sun. So you can have that idea of the pinhole camera in the nature also. Now generally the light, how does it travel? Generally the light travels in a straight line. But how will you show that? How do you know that the light travels in a straight line? For that, what can you do? You can take a piece of pipe or a long rubber tube, and then you need a candle. Light the candle and put it on a table, and take that pipe or the rubber pipe or the plastic pipe in your hand and keep one of the end to the eye and make it straight, and the other end should be at the lighted candle, and try to look at the candle. The flame of the candle will be visible through that pipe when it is straight. But then bend the pipe a little or the tube a little, and then try to look at the flame again through it. Then you will see that the candle flame will not be visible, because when the pipe is bent, the light enters the pipe, but then because it is bent, the light will stop, and then the rays of the light will not pass through that pipe and it will not reach our eyes. So we won't be able to see that flame. Now some other things also we have to learn about it in the beginning. There is a scientific reasons, two scientific reasons are the first that moon is giving us light in the night, but it is not a source of light. Why? So generally at night you see the moon, which is look like the light is coming out of it, but actually moon is not a source of light. It does not emit its own light, but when the light from the sun falls on it, and then it reflects the light and then it reaches to earth. So it looks like that it is a source of light, but it gives light, that is the reflected light. Second thing is, we cannot see an object in a dark room. There also we know that in a dark room the light is not there, and we know that objects are visible only either they are luminous objects or light from the luminous objects fall on it and reaches our eyes by reflection. But there is no light in the dark room, and therefore the objects are not visible for us. For reflection of light, what is reflection of light? And explain it with an activity. Reflection of light means when the light generally travels in a straight line. But if you put a mirror or a very shiny object, then it changes the direction. And that is known as the reflection of light. For that you can have an activity. Go in a dark room with your friends. Tell one of your friends to stand in a corner, and tell your another friend to stand in the opposite side, so that it can have a mirror in his hand. Then you go to the another corner and take a torch and cover the front part with your hand and torch the switch on the torch, such that there is a very small gap between your fingers. Then you will see that from the slit, the beam of light will fall on that mirror. Then adjust the torch such that when it is passing through that mirror, then it will reflect, and that reflection will be on your friend. It means that the light generally travels in a straight line, and then it changes the direction in the other way. So that is called the reflection of light. And you can do this activity with your friend in a dark room like this. See, you can throw the torchlight and then it is reflected back and falling on your friend. Or you can have a screen, or it can be falling on him also. So that is the way you can understand, you can explain what is the reflection of light. Explain the manner in which light travels with the help of an activity. For that you need a comb and a mirror. Take a comb and put it on the table in a dark room, and behind it on a crossway put a mirror. Then take a torch and throw the light of beam from the torch such that it passes through that comb. You know that in the comb there are so many gaps, slits. So you will see that the shadows of that slits of that, and then it shows that a very straight beam. Then after falling on the mirror, it will be directed to the other way. Like this. It goes and then traveling to the other way. And that is giving you the idea that the light travels in a straight line, and when falls on a mirror, then it changes the direction, which is known as the reflection of light. So here we are going to finish the session. Also the revision of this chapter will be followed by PDF, and you will write down the answers on your own. Thank you very much.